Morning. All right, let's see here. So, good morning, everybody. I think we're all set. Just want to make sure to GOV-TV, give me a thumbs up here. Sound okay? All right, so good morning, and welcome to Manzano Mesa Multigen Center. That's where we're at today, and we're here for a very important reason. Again, when we go on site, it's because we really want to showcase something for the community. And of course, a little bit sentimental for me on two fronts as we begin today. First, I used to live right across the street, so this is where I got married and our first house was, and my daughter played on that playground when she was born. So we're glad to be here. Of course, we also have new pickleball courts, which are should not be really used, but this is a very, very special facility in the Southeast Heights, roughly on, it's by Sandia Labs, it's on Eubank in Central, roughly. And so again, not everyone in Albuquerque knows where this is, so I want to highlight that. It's a multi-gen center, so this is seniors and youth. And so this is in cooperation with the State Department of their senior department and our senior affairs department and Parks and Rec. There's a huge park here as well. So it's one of our newer outstanding city facilities. Okay, also before I begin, I want to just mention to everyone, happy Passover. Of course, Passover was started last night, goes for a couple of days, and my interfaith family, of course, is half Jewish, so we celebrated last night over Zoom, like a lot of families did all over the world, and it was you know, there's some sayings in the Haggadah that refer to like what's different about this night than other nights. And I think last night lived up to that billing in effect that all of us were apart from our families. And this is very much a family holiday, if you will, or a family gathering and ritual and ceremony. But it also shows, I think in many ways, resilience and strength, and a lot of good messages last night for those who participated about survival and about identity and about getting through these times, whatever these times may be. In this case, certainly everyone's mind was on Corona. So we will see you again next year, hopefully in person. Now, let's go to our updates for today. First, some updates from our Joint Information Center from Central New Mexico. And then we're going to talk about Drive Up Wi-Fi is here. This is our deep dive topic for today. This also is known as Wireless on Wheels, or the WOW program. So we're going to be joined by Brian Osterloh. He's our Director of Technology at the city. This is done in collaboration also with APS. We are rolling out dozens and dozens of free Wi-Fi sites that are all about the Sunvan. So we'll talk about it, but now if you see a Sunvan in a parking lot, you can log on. And that's what this is all about today. This is also occurring at schools all over the city and also at our community centers that have meal distribution. So right now there are hundreds of meals being distributed to seniors, and also now they're going to be able to access the wireless in the social distancing comfort of their car. More on that in a minute. So some updates from around central New Mexico. PNM has partnered with the New Mexico Small Business Development Center and has activated their call center to help small businesses sift through all the information out there and try and get some of this money out in tough times. So a special thanks to PNM and the New Mexico Small Business Center for that partnership. Loveless Medical Center has opened a community center pop-up shop next to its cafeteria so that its healthcare workers don't have to go to the grocery store after a long shift. So a very good idea coming from Loveless. Presbyterian would like to offer some guidance about food donations. They've had a lot of people bring meals to healthcare workers, and that's an amazing thing. We appreciate everyone's generosity. I do want folks to know that there are some guidelines. We need specific meals that are prepackaged and so forth, and also that don't spoil. So I don't want to go into the details other than just say check with 311 or Presbyterian for that guidance. So we very much want people's help, but they need to really follow those guidelines. Okay, so starting yesterday, our Department of Workforce Solutions will be offering a one-time stimulus payment of $750 to self-employed individuals. And so the self-employment stimulus payment will be available for the first 2,000 applicants that qualify. Self-employed individuals are able to apply for this through www.jobs.state.nm.us. And so I want to refer folks to the Workforce Connections page and appreciate their efforts. I know they're very overwhelmed, but continuing to work hard. Okay, now let's talk about this Wi-Fi program a little bit. Wi-Fi on Wheels. This is phase 1 of the program. This is about closing the gap for high-speed internet that we know has been a challenge before the coronavirus, and even more so now that people are trying to learn from home. Census data shows that 73% of New Mexico has a broadband connection, below the 81% national average. So the long story short is we were second to last in the country with respect to broadband access. We know that APS puts a number of kids in their system with no internet, and that system is really about 10 to 12% of the kids in the system report not having internet. This is meant to help them. Now, this all adds up to a major equity issue. This is something that's unacceptable, that a number of our kids are falling through the digital divide. And these are kids who are at risk and never before have been able to find a way to catch up digitally. And it also is about seniors even being at risk of not graduating because they don't have this internet access. Now they're going to be able to have it. Obviously, it's not in their homes, but they're going to be able to at least access it for free. So we actually saw this program on the horizon. Folks who hardly, I'm sure anyone remembers this, but when I was running for this office, this was an idea I had, the idea of drive-up wireless at our community centers. And frankly, it was just one that was we weren't able to pull it off in terms of prioritizing it. And now we've seen that it is an urgent priority and we're able to do it. So I'm so grateful for our department for honoring a campaign promise indirectly in the spirit of coronavirus. And so we saw this problem. Sorry, there's lots of folks saying hi and waving. So this is a problem that we are now able to fix with 80 new hotspots installed in our Sun Van vehicles and by amping up the Wi-Fi coming out of City Wireless. And so again, this is going to happen over time at 20 APS meal sites, 10 now and 10 later. Also at high schools giving out the Chromebooks. So APS has been great to work with on this front. Again, a tie-in so that folks can actually get their graduation done. Now, we've worked with APS on handing out instructions and a map of these locations, also translating it into different languages. I'm going to hold up some demos here. These are all going to be available online and social media. One, a map of the existing sites. This is at cabq.cabq/Wi-Fi. And so you can find the current sites and that'll be updated online. We also have how you can log in. This one is in Spanish, and these are going to be online and handed out again to the people at the meal sites, so that and at the Chromebook distribution sites, so they're going to be able to see this. Okay, so a couple of other items on this. The idea is, again, you can access Wi-Fi from your car. By the way, I know a lot of people are doing this at Starbucks and other businesses that have their Wi-Fi on. If you go to parking lots all over the city where there's Wi-Fi, people are sitting in their cars working. That's just where we're at. And so this is a way to help really everyone. But again, the focus is on our most vulnerable areas, focus on people who don't have internet access at home, and our seniors and children. So we're extending this to 7 facilities in addition to the other ones I mentioned, to folks who can use it outside in their car. That includes the Erna Ferguson Library, Juan Tabo Library, Lomas and Tramway Library, Manzano Mesa Multigen, San Pedro Public Library, and Taylor Ranch Public Library, and Westgate Public Library. These facilities are going to offer wireless to anyone, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., but again, please stay in your car to use the wireless. Okay, C&M has also agreed to allow access to their guest network. So if you're near a C&M facility, you can also log on to theirs for free as well. We're actually asking all private businesses and public entities to do this. So hopefully down the road, others will follow suit. Stay tuned for more. Again, the city starting this and C&M helping out as well. It does require some additional technology. So I want to, at the forefront, say, why isn't X, Y, and Z doing this also? We don't want to speak for them, but I do want you to know we had to invest in some additional technology to kind of amp up the signal, if you will. So to talk about that a little bit, I'm going to hand it over to the man who runs the team that has been behind all of this, our Director of Technology and Innovation, Brian Osterloh. Brian?
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to say thank you to Mayor Keller. I want to say thank you to the executive team in the Mayor's office as well. We have had nothing but support on this endeavor. We've pulled this together very quickly. It isn't perfect, but it is progress, and we're pleased to be able to offer these capabilities. We are using sun vans and other city vehicles. As Mayor said, where you see a sun van in a parking lot, you should be able to log on to the Wi-Fi from that sun van. The main key is to look for the sign to my left where it says wireless Wi-Fi access point. That will be up wherever we have this capability. We are also then extending this. We're putting more regular Wi-Fi out at many city facilities. The signal strength on these devices means that you should be able to park within 100 feet or so and be able to catch the signal. So right now we're at 3 megabit per second, which should download a really big file within a few minutes. So for APS students, we calibrated that with APS educational staff to try and get it so you could be done with your class in 5 minutes or less. The devices will support 10 devices, the hotspots will support up to 10 devices. We're working to try and get those to 15, and we expect we'll be able to do that shortly. And initial hours are 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in some sites, 8:45 to 2:15. Those will be clearly marked on the website as to what they are, and the difference is really the location. And then for outdoor Wi-Fi at city facilities, it will be available from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. We are estimating that we can hopefully provide up to, not hopefully, we are intending to provide within a week or two enough connectivity to give each student who is unconnected 1 hour per day on average if they were all to spread their time. So essentially 5 hours per week at least of connectivity access for every student who doesn't have access now. As Mayor said, the instructions are ready, and we're printing for distribution at the APS meal sites with their grab-and-go meals. Obviously, if you can't get to a website, it doesn't help you to be directed to the website. So we're putting instructions together on how to use an iPhone, how to use an Android, a Chromebook, or any other device you might be using to access. The website is, as Mayor said, cabq.gov/Wi-Fi, updated regularly as sites change, as hours change, as any instructions might change, and we will have the instructions in the multiple languages on that site as well. I really want to thank a lot of partners here. We had some local governmental partners, we had local business partners, and some national partners. A&M, Advanced Network Management, is a local networking outfit that helped us with the procurement of these. Supply chain right now is very difficult for a lot of devices. A&M helped us break through that. T-Mobile helped us break through that. They provided the 80 devices called PEP Waves. Cisco, a major national network hardware supplier, has helped us to break through the supply chain as well. Sandia Lightwave, a local services company, is helping us to remove some devices from other locations and reallocate them to the community centers and libraries. Comcast is providing residential internet access for secondary access for those who may have the capability. So their Internet Essentials program, I recommend looking into that as well. And CenturyLink is also providing some additional access. Also, I want to note these signs were provided, and if you'll bear with me, I need to make sure I get this correct. The signs were provided by Design Silkscreen Partners. They were printed up by that with very little notice, a local company that has stepped up to help us with this as well. Mayor said the current sites, Erna Ferguson, Juan Tabo, Lomas Tramway, libraries, Manzano Mesa Multigenerational Center, San Pedro Public, Taylor Ranch Public, and Westgate Heights Public Libraries. We will be expanding the number of facilities as rapidly as we can that have Wi-Fi outdoor access, especially for the parking lots. Meal sites, we've started with top 10. We're coordinating with APS. We're rolling to the top 20. So we have Chaparral Elementary, Dennis Chavez Elementary, Helen Cordero Elementary, James Monroe Middle School, Rudolfo Anaya Elementary School, 7 Bar Elementary, Sierra Vista Elementary School, and Truman Middle School. I will note one item that tomorrow is Good Friday. It's an APS holiday, so the meal site access won't be available tomorrow, but Monday we'll be back at it with those locations. So at this point, I think it's time I can turn back over to Mayor for some other items. I just want to say thank you, APS, thank you, CNM, and thank you to our local and national partners. Especially thank you to Mayor and the administration for the support.
Thank you so much, Brian and the team. Just a great job putting this together. And I know too, for us, we're trying to keep the safety net available for those in need, those the most vulnerable. Part of that is propping up new things like this and understanding where these inequities are. And digitally, we don't know if other cities are doing this. I hope they are, but I'm very proud of Albuquerque and our team for being able to step up in this way. We haven't heard of anyone else doing it, so hopefully we'll set a good example for others. Okay, I think with that, a couple of other items before we take questions. Just that continuing to help our seniors. 25,000 meals, including the ones that have been driving by, have been served so far. I want to thank all our staff for doing that. And again, these are city workers that are essential, again, as part of the safety net. As a reminder, the city has roughly about 6,000 employees, and a huge percentage of them, thousands of them, are deemed essential. And we often think about the ones that are obvious in public health care and public safety, but I do want to mention the ones who are doing things like serving meals to seniors and so forth, and the critical role they're playing as part of our public health heroes as well. Okay, our myth busting for today is that the stimulus check will not get deducted from this year's tax refund. There's lots of myths going around about the stimulus checks, and just want to let folks know that this actually, according to at least the Forbes and websites, you can visit the IRS for information, that's not the case so far. So that's just a myth that you're hearing. And our takeout yesterday was Amore Pizza. Excellent. All right. So with that, I'm going to take your questions. And also Brian for technical stuff. And I think everyone saw the sign before we do that. So, if you see us on van parked, it's probably Wi-Fi, but this is the little sticker that you're going to want to see. And again, there should be staff on site with directions on how to log in and so forth for free wireless. Okay.
We just kind of want an update on any of the nursing homes or assisted living, and specifically the one that had the outbreak last week, or any other nursing homes having any other outbreaks that you guys are aware of, and with the one that happened last week, are they doing fine? Is there any additional outbreaks there as well?
Sure. So the question is a little bit of a nursing home update. We have not had any major outbreaks since. We have made contact at least with all of them. I do know there's one assisted living center or assisted outpatient support center that did have, I think, a couple of presumptive positive cases, but that is not a nursing home. So it's a related service that folks were going into. For more information on that, check with the JIC and the Joint Information Center. So Alicia, I'll have those details for you.
I have one from Care for Me. Well, I have a few, but I'll ask this one first. What happens when too many advices are on these networks? Do you worry that some places might hit their capacity too?
The question is, are we worried about how many people can be on the wireless at the same time, and what's the capacity and so forth? It's a very good question. I'm going to hand it over to Director Osterloh to speak to that. It's also, I think that would be a good problem to have, and certainly no doubt a problem, but that's something we kind of shows that how much this is in need of. So, Brian?
So these devices do have capacity limits. We started with 10. We are hopeful to raise that to 15 connections at any one time. We're going to be closely monitoring the usage. The great thing about these all being mobile is that if we see a higher volume of usage than we have the capacity for at the time, we will simply bring more to bear at that location. So we'll be monitoring where do we get the usage, where is it lower, and we will adjust accordingly so that we get as much connection capability as we can where it's needed the most.
Okay, and then one more from PRTV. Do you have any concerns about users camping out on the network, preventing those who really need the connection from getting it?
So the question is, do we have concerns about people kind of camping out on the network and so forth? And what are we looking to do with respect to that? Brian can field this as well. I do want to mention though that these facilities that they're at there's a lot of essential activity going on, like meal distribution or Chromebook distribution and so forth. So the good news is that we do believe we'll be able to actively monitor this without a bunch of additional resources.
Yeah, exactly as Mayor said. Also, these connections do have a timeout. They will be adjusted as we monitor usage as well. That's similar to what the COA free wireless has had for years. 40 minutes was the limit for years. You could then log on again, but you were next in line and had to wait behind others who might be trying to get on. So we have adjusted that already. I believe the COA free wireless is over an hour at this point, but we are setting the APS at this time at about 35 minutes. It's going to be adjusted again with usage. I expect in those areas where we have greater high school usage, we may need longer. And in those areas, maybe elementary or middle school, we may be able to shorten it up. We currently, though, have timeouts for that, and simply because the traffic at the APS meal sites is most likely to be APS related, we're more confident that we won't have that issue. City Wi-Fi might, but city Wi-Fi is available 7 days a week for a longer period than the APS locations. So we expect that we'll be able to handle that. As we get more information about the usage, we'll start to put on the websites too. When do we find the lower usage so that people, if they need, if they're frustrated by it, that then maybe they can change their schedule to get there at a different time.
Okay, and then one from Jessica Dyer at the Albuquerque Journal. How much was the city's capital investment in this, and what did the other partners contribute? What are the recurring costs?
So the question is about what were the costs to set this up, what partners were involved, and a little bit about the reoccurring costs too. And I know Director also mentioned a few of these, but if you want to go up and reiterate those, go ahead.
Yeah. So the initial capital cost at this point has been about $60,000. The recurring is in the range of $2,200 per month. That's for the cellular access for each of these devices. I did a calculation. If we did this for a year, and the cost per connection hour, so the cost for a student to be on our system for an hour would be about 2.3 cents.
Okay, another one from the Journal. Does the city have any resources for low-income residents without APS students who don't have computers or other devices to log into this?
So the question is about other resources for folks who don't have a computer or don't have APS students. I think the biggest thing here is if you do have a cell phone, almost all cell phones now can work off wireless internet. So we hope that is a device of last resort in many ways if folks don't have anything else. I also want to mention this program is designed specifically to help seniors and kids. So that's what it's targeted at. It would be a much heavier lift and more expensive to do this all over the city. So just saying we're starting with this, we'll see how it goes, and we'll take it from there. But that's who it's targeted for right now.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, and then one more from PRTV. Will any type of internet browsing or activity be prevented or blocked on these networks? Like Netflix?
The question is, are we going to block streaming videos and other kinds of things that maybe people shouldn't be using this for? Internet. Brian, I think that's the standard with the city, so whatever is normal.
Yeah. So we're using the city's standard. We want to be careful. We don't know exactly what teachers will be using to supply some of their material. I will say that the standard, let's say age inappropriate sites, definitely are not accessible. If somebody finds differently, we certainly want to know that, and we'll make that change. but we've tested and we've not found anything along those lines at this point. But a lot of teachers do YouTube videos. They may do some other types of videos. Again, we're not perfect here on this program yet, but we have made progress, and we will continue to add to that progress.
And that's it from Zoom.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody, I hope we really hope that this is a big help to, again, our kids and seniors who've been left behind on the digital divide. We're excited to be able to step up in this way for APS to help out our school district. You know, I think in this one Albuquerque spirit, all the different types of governments and institutions are trying to help each other, and this is a big, meaningful way in which we can help our public school system. And I also want to just mention the departments, you know, to do this publicly, people aren't as interested, but this required a lot of different departments. Sun Vans are obviously the transit department, and our IT system is DTI and so forth. So at the city too, within the city, we continue to work as one Albuquerque to try and do what we can to help folks during these times. Lastly, let me just say that fundamentally this is an experiment. So we think it's a good one. We're going to give it a shot. Hopefully it'll be great, but I expect lots of tweaks down the road, either bigger, smaller, refining, etc. So like a lot of things during the time of Corona, this will be an experiment and will be modified going forward. So with that, I want to say thank you to everyone tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow at 11:30. Thank you.